Steelers Nation, things are heating up in Pittsburgh, and the team's future looks more uncertain than ever. With an offense that simply isn't taking off and rumors of a renowned quarterback entering the mix, there's a lot at stake for 2025. Will GM Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin manage to attract offensive talent to a franchise that seems stuck in the past? And speaking of QBs, the name Sam Darnold, fresh off a resurgent season, has entered the conversation. But is he the solution, or just another stopgap? Don't miss a single detail of these updates. Hit that like button, and let's dive into the video. The Pittsburgh Steelers are heading into the 2025 offseason with more questions than answers, and GM Omar Khan, along with head coach Mike Tomlin, faces a major challenge in attracting offensive talent through free agency. Steel City has been restless lately, tired of watching their team crash out in the wild card round, and honestly, the outlook doesn't seem much better than it did this time last year. Sure, the draft will be a critical tool, but relying solely on rookies to fix all the problems? That's not going to cut it. Here's the issue. For years, the Steelers have funneled most of their resources and focus into the defense. While this has turned players like TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and others into some of the highest-paid defenders in the league, the offense has been, well, neglected. The result? An attack that has been among the league's worst since Big Ben retired. The quarterback carousel hasn't helped either. Pittsburgh hasn't had a reliable starter since 2022, and that instability is a major red flag for free agents who want to shine. Heading into 2025, Pittsburgh ranks 14th in cap space, according to Over the Cap. That might sound decent, but here's the catch. Most of the teams ahead of them are in much better shape offensively, and frankly, are more attractive destinations for playmakers. Let's be real. If you're a top-tier wide receiver or skill player, would you sign with a team that ranked 27th in passing yards, 28th in completions, and 29th in pass attempts last season? Probably not. That kind of offensive stat line drives players away, and it might explain why George Pickens has visibly shown frustration at times. The guy is talented but has been a headache for the front office, with rumors swirling that he could be on the trade block during draft season if the Steelers don't secure him with an extension. Even if Pickens stays, Pittsburgh is still in a tough spot at wide receiver. The free agent market isn't particularly strong, and unless the Steelers pull off a trade for someone like Christian Kirk, they'll struggle to fill that gap. And don't count on big names like T. Higgins wanting to join an offense that doesn't prioritize the passing game. Defensive stars like Patrick Queen might be excited to sign with the Steelers because of their rich history, but offensive players? Not so much. The hard truth is that the Steelers' old-school, run-heavy philosophy just doesn't work in today's NFL. Even teams like the Eagles, who have strong defenses, can count on Jalen Hurts to deliver in the passing game. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, must address its quarterback situation, invest in legitimate offensive weapons, and modernize its approach. Otherwise, Steelers Nation could be looking at more years of mediocrity. It's time for Tomlin and company to adapt, or get left behind. Now, tell me, fans, do you think the Steelers should shift focus and heavily invest in the offense, or is the current philosophy still viable? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you thought the situation was concerning so far, wait until you hear about the potential arrival of Sam Darnold. It gets even more intriguing. So here's an interesting twist for Steelers fans. Rumors are swirling that Pittsburgh might be in the market for a quarterback this offseason, and one name floating around is Sam Darnold, fresh off a career resurgence with the Minnesota Vikings. But don't get too excited just yet. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's talk about Darnold's 2024 season. The guy had a standout year, completing 66.2% of his passes for 4,319 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 12 interceptions. He even earned his first Pro Bowl nod. Not too shabby for someone whose NFL career was on the brink just a few years ago. But while the stats are impressive, the ending wasn't ideal. Darnold faltered in a winner-go-home Week 18 matchup against the Lions and struggled again in the Vikings' playoff loss to the Rams. Still, his season was solid enough for Pro Football Focus to project him landing a huge deal. 3 years, $123.75 million with $70 million guaranteed. That's $41.25 million per year for those keeping score. The big question is whether Darnold is more than just a bridge quarterback. His raw numbers are impressive, but PFF highlighted some concerns. 33 big-time throws were offset by 24 turnover-worthy plays. Not exactly ideal for someone commanding $70 million guaranteed. Before Steelers fans start dreaming of Darnold in black and gold, there are some hurdles. For one, he's not guaranteed to hit the open market. The Vikings could franchise tag him or work out an extension to keep him. They might even tag and trade him if the right offer comes along. For now, the idea of Darnold leaving Minnesota is purely speculative. But let's say he does become available. Would Pittsburgh seriously pursue him? On paper, it makes sense. He'd be an upgrade over Justin Fields and Russell Wilson from last season. The issue is that Darnold thrived with a much better supporting cast in Minnesota, and he's only had one truly good season. Could he replicate that in Pittsburgh's offense? That's uncertain. And let's not forget the cost. It would be significantly higher than sticking with Fields or Wilson. Bottom line, while Darnold is an intriguing option, the price tag and uncertainty might be too much for the Steelers to handle. If he hits free agency, don't be surprised if Pittsburgh shows interest, but it's hard to imagine this pairing materializing. For now, Steelers fans might have to keep dreaming of a QB savior. The truth is, the Steelers are in a tough spot. Investing in the offense seems like an obvious move, but changing a philosophy that's been in place for years won't happen overnight. And about Darnold? He had an amazing season, but is it worth spending that much on a guy who might not perform without the same supporting cast he had in Minnesota? It's a gamble. Let's just hope Tomlin and Khan know what they're doing, because the fans' patience is running thin. Now, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates, and let's keep following the Steelers closely.